For many Christians, the word evangelism strikes fear into their hearts. They're just simply afraid to share their faith. What can we do to help Christians be more effective at introducing non-believers to the gospel? I'm joined today by Dr. Bernard Palmer, a retired senior surgeon from the United Kingdom and also one of the founding pastors of Christchurch in Baldock, England, to help us with that question. Dr. Palmer is a seasoned and skilled evangelist, and so we're grateful to have him with us. Dr. Palmer, is there any kind of just practical advice, any kind of little tips that you can give to a Christian to help them just become more effective at sharing their faith, or even just to get into the game?
Oh, it's not a game. This is deadly earnest. In Cambridge, we used to have Bible readings every Saturday night. And many years ago, there was a couple of speakers came to talk about missionary work. And the first speaker, who was meant to speak for half an hour, spoke for 57 minutes. And the second speaker, who's the main speaker, stood up and he said, "I've just got time to read to you my verse. There are some who are ignorant of God, and I say this to your shame." 1 Corinthians 15:34. He looked at the clock. "I've just got time to tell you that again. 1 Corinthians 15:34. There are some who are ignorant of God, and I say this to your shame." Now, that is exactly what I've come to understand, that God has called me to be his representative, to share the Lord Jesus with other people. Now, when I'm talking to friends and people I don't know very well, I'm often asked, people come off and try to ask difficult questions. Bernard, do you believe in hell? And I've learned that actually the wisest way to answer that is to keep Jesus busy, to keep going back to Jesus. Say, well, actually, Jesus talked about hell more than anyone. He said that those who are followers of him will go to heaven, and those who are not followers of him, who reject him, will go to hell. Now, so it's not me that's then in the shooting line, it's Jesus himself. Is there a judgment to come? Well, yes, the Bible teaches, Jesus teaches, there is a judgment. When I die, I will face him. And there's a lot of evidence for this. But I'm trying to remove what I believe out of the picture into what Jesus taught and holds. This is a fundamental aspect. We've got to get people back to wanting to do what Jesus wants. What's going wrong? Well, I think now, having talked to many people, that the real issue is we're not praying. That if a person is praying, "Lord, today, will you use me for your ends? Will you help me meet someone who needs you?" Then it is quite strange. Those people God uses. I don't quite understand it. I'm sure partly if we're praying about it, it's at the front of our minds more. But things happen. William Temple, who was an Archbishop of Canterbury, he was once asked, "Why do you pray?" And he smiled and said, well, when I don't pray, coincidences don't happen. But when I do pray, coincidences do happen. And somehow to get this together, God has chosen me to be his representative. I've got to be a holy person, not a holy Joe, but a man who is open to Christ, walking in the light of Christ. To be praying that I can show the world that the world he's created can only be unified under his authority, and that living in this world is the ideal world. We'll only know it in fullness, that bank, when we die and when we're with God in heaven. But he has promised that those who follow him will be with him there.